Hello everyone, this is Jenny here. In today's discussion, we'll talk about how to manage requirements effectively using Focus Build tool. So let's get started. About me, I'm Srini. I'm a Focus Build architect, and as Synergetic, I'm responsible for solution delivery and architecture. So requirement is basically a document in Focus Build which you can use to capture a feature, a capability, or a user story. So requirements represent backlog. So they're basically the backlog which you're going to collect in the explore phase. And once they are approved, you're going to work on the backlog in the realization phase. So you can see the requirement, work package, and work item, all three as a backlog in various stages because you're going to work with requirement in explore phase and work package and work item in the realization phase. But for simplification purposes, we can just look at requirement as a backlog. Now, the important thing about requirement is that it is the beginning of the requirement to deploy process. And it is something which both business and IT have to work collaboratively. So they both have different responsibilities. Business has a responsibility to prioritize and rank them with the value points and all that, whereas IT has a responsibility to give effort estimates and also identify dependencies and all that. So the responsibilities part is one thing, but the most important thing is that they have to work together so that they'll be able to be successful in the requirements capturing process, so that at the end product is basically clear and unambiguous requirements. That's the most important part of this collaboration exercise. Um, so in order for business to work with the requirements effectively, you need to enable them with the focus build tool. So that's my recommendation, so that business can take an active participation and take advantage of all the good features in focus build when it comes to requirements. In explore phase is basically when you want to capture a lot of the requirements, and that's when you have to rank these requirements, prioritize, analyze dependencies, and all the stuff. And by the end of the explore phase, you need to have an approved backlog. So use the workshops effectively as a customer interaction points and also enable business with the focus build tool so that you'll be able to complete this exercise, the requirements gathering exercise successfully, and have the have clear and unambiguous requirements at the end of the explore phase. And that's very important. With that introduction, let's take a quick demo about the requirements process. So there are two ways of creating a requirement, I would say, because we're not going to talk about the upload process in this case. When it comes to creating a requirements directly in Focus Build, you can either create it from the process documentation or use the requirements function and create a requirement. So I would like to explain this first, and this is the recommended approach. The reason is that you'll be able to engage business in the process discussion and use the process documentation as a starting point in these discussions. So the exercise is basically to define a target business process. And if you identify gaps in best practices, those gaps in best practices are basically your requirements. So go ahead and create a requirement for this gap. So when you create a requirement in this process, it also automatically assigned to the process step. And if you know the priority, you can give it right there. And if you don't have the remaining information, you'll be able to do that later on. So there's a lot of flexibility. You're in the middle of workshop and you don't know a lot of information, so just go ahead and create a requirement for that, and don't worry about the rest of the information. So you could just create a requirement there, and the requirement, if you want to refresh and see that, the requirement will get assigned to that process step. And another way of creating a requirement is directly through the tile. So go ahead and click requirement and create new requirement. So you can fill in all the information. If you want to say demo requirement. Here you have the option to assign the solution or not. You can always assign it before the requirement is approved. So if you don't have the information at that point, you'll be able to just create with the minimum information you have. And like I said, when we further process the requirement and we work with the business, whatever information we need to fill in from an attribute point of view, especially if you want to attach it to the process step and all that, you'll be able to do it even after the requirement is created. There's a lot of flexibility in this process. So that is all I wanted to show today on the requirements point of view. Please watch my upcoming videos on requirements and process discussion. If you have any questions, please send me an email at my address here. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you. Thank you for your time.